Hello, hello. Grand Rising. Happy New Year to those of you watching the recording. Got my smudge. The reason I do this every morning is my guides told me to. It's the main reason I do this. Hello, hello. Good morning. Try not to set my lap on fire. Hi, Chantal. Good morning. Happy New Year. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Raquel. Raquel says your discipline is inspiring. Thank you, darling. Hi, Chandrika. Good morning. Hi, Connie. Happy New Year. Did you guys have a good evening? What did you guys do last night? Anybody get into mischief? Hi, Donna. Hi, Kelly. Good morning. Daniel Jackson's in the house. Hello, brother. Hi, Adriana. Good morning. Happy New Year. Michelle says I slept. That's good, Michelle. Very good. I hung out with my little guy until very late, and then I passed out. So, hi, Maria. Good morning. Anybody else have any interesting plans last night? It is indeed. Well, I guess it depends on who you're asking, Laurel. A lot of pagans and others, they like to celebrate at different times of the year. The pagan New Year is on Halloween. And I'm pretty sure, is it the Julian calendar? There might even been an older calendar than the Julian calendar that was originally on April 1st, the New Year. But this one works just fine. This is the Christian New Year. Hi, Grant. Good morning. Hi, Katerina. Chandrika had to work. Working on New Year's Eve, huh? I went to the bad area here in Fort Worth. I probably need a clearing, Connie said. Oh, bar area. Oh, bar area. Nice. The bad bar area. Hi, Alma. Good morning. Daniel Jackson watched The Matrix. Nice. I watched Forrest Gump last night. I saw a post that said if you start the movie Forrest Gump at 10:38:57, that you can ring in the new year accurately. And I did. And then I went right to sleep afterward. Hi, Mimi. Good morning. Amma says I celebrated New Year on December 21st on the winter solstice. I did have a guest planned for today, but things did not work out that way. The timing did not go well. So you get me today for randomness. Have random conversations today. Amanda says, I got a tattoo with my best friend. We finished around 9 p.m., went for my aunts for game snacks and fun. That sounds like awesome time, Amanda. What kind of tattoo did you get? Chantal says, open front and back door after midnight, blew out the old, called in the new, and blew cinnamon. Nice. Cinnamon is good. Happy New Year, Lori. Nice to see you, darling. Chantal says, we love random chats. Thank you. Thank you, Raquel. You guys are so sweet. Happy New Year, Erica. Nice to see you. Hi, Summer. Erin says, we went to a party with my husband's friends and there was a bunch of drama, feeling like I need to shake off other people's energies today. That's probably a good idea. If you guys went to a party last night, it's probably a good idea to shake off the energies today. Very good idea. Especially, the old energies of last year. Get all that out of there. Do a cleansing for today. You know what? One of my favorite exercises for this is a soul retrieval exercise. So it's like a soul fragment retrieval, I guess, is one way of putting it. But you pour yourself a glass of water, and you say all the energy that I have taken from others. And you hold the glass of water, like I've got water here. So you hold it, and you say all the energy I have taken from others, I imbue into this water, and I give it back to the source. And then you just take it and you dump the water on the ground, right? Then you refill your cup, and then you hold it again and you say, anything that has been taken from me, any energy that has been taken, any blah, 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 whatever you want to put there has been taken from me. I now return it back to myself, returning it back to source. And then you visualize all those soul shards coming back to you, coming back to your water, and then you drink it. So one of the ways of calling energy back to you, but you really should be calling energy back to you every single day. What was that one quote I use on occasion that I'm totally forgetting right now? That my guides told me to write down so I'd remember it. And a year later, I still have to read it because I didn't memorize it yet. That one. I empty myself of mind, body, and spirit of all the energy of this day. I return it back to source with peace and love. And you can also say, I call my own energy back from the places I have left it behind. So if you don't want to go through the whole water exercise, you can just say that every day. I call my energy back to me, and I return any energy that is no longer mine. And yes, I did learn that through Dolores. Dolores did mention that one a few times. It is important to call your energy back because you leave it everywhere. Aaron says, I call my energy back to me multiple times a day. I love the visualization idea. I need that. There you go. You'd be surprised how often you lose soul shards of yourself. Because every time I do clearings, right? I get a clearing first. This is how you start. This is one of the benefits of the spirit release, right? You're always sovereign. So whenever you're about to sit down and do clearings, you go through the protocol yourself. You make sure that your guides check you for all the things. And whenever we do a full check, we go through the full protocol, we ask, are there any soul fragments that need to be returned? And there usually are. There's usually at least one soul fragment that we have left somewhere, a little piece of ourself that we leave somewhere. So even though you become whole again, every time you get a clearing, the next day you go for another clearing and you're like, oh, one soul fragment returned. And you're like, where did I leave that? Makes you wonder, like, where are all these pieces of ourselves getting left behind? Usually with other people. It's usually other people that end up taking some kind of little spark away from us. Whether it's intentional or not, I'm sure most of the time, obviously, it's not. So these things occur very innocently, even though obviously, if you were to lose 100% soul fragmentation, your soul would just be gone. It would just into the cosmos. This is one of the ways, like, we've actually talked about this once before, myself and the guides, because there was one person that I found with 70% soul fragmentation. And I was like, what? How much further would this go? Like, if it's going to be more than 70%, and they said, oh, if it were to keep going, they would just basically fall apart. And it's not a very obvious common thing. I'm sure it's not a very, what's the word I'm looking for? My brain today, I swear. I did not get enough sleep, I can tell. But my point is, the soul fragmentation is very important to return to yourself, to call back your own energy. And these things can be lost across multiple timelines. So I did ask, I was like, is there ever a way to kill a soul? And that's what they told me. They said to 100% soul fragmentation would. So this is why I say, like, it's important to call back your energy. Obviously, that is a very, very extreme case, that sort of thing. But yeah, that is, we come undone, as they say, because we are all energy. This is one of the reasons why Dolores talked about us being kind of like group souls in a way, because we are not just one spark of consciousness that is in here. There's a lot of sparks of consciousness. In fact, when I was in France, we were doing a clearing on a church, and this church was, I think, 700 something years old, right? So we go in there and you would expect there to be a lot of energy trapped. So we asked, the guides to call back the energy to the people, to the source. And in my mind's eye, I could see it almost looked like silver rain. But instead, the rain was falling upwards rather than downwards. And it looked like lines of silver just shoot. And I was asking, I was like, what is that? And they said, oh, those are soul fragments going back to where they're supposed to go. And I was like, oh, okay. Karen says, what if we pray for people? Does that soul fragment? No. Praying for people is just sending intention, sending good energy. Well, depending on the form of prayer, I guess, and the intention. Do you reckon that's when a walk-in would occur? No, I think that walk-ins occur more when people are on the verge of self-harm to the extreme. If they know that there's going to be some kind of incident where you get pushed to that point, they may intervene at some point and say, okay, if the original soul wants to leave that badly, then yeah, they can go and a new soul will come in. Oh, you're asking about my new necklace that I got for myself for Christmas. This is a symbol of Ra mixed with an Ankh. So it's just a little thing that I've been wearing. I've been feeling quite close to Ra recently. In fact, I even picked up some of the books. Are you going to be joining Siddhartha later? Yes, I am going to be with Siddhartha later. That is at 1 o'clock today. The other half of the chat with Siddhartha will be today at 1 p.m. And yep, that is my plan. Would love to join Siddhartha today, having tea with Siddhartha. Anybody want to talk about something in particular today? Anybody going through something they would like to discuss or have any questions about something in particular? I did have something a little upsetting yesterday that I went through. I did a lost soul rescue, did a couple of them, and many thanks to the medium who did that with me. And one of the things that we discovered, there was a young lady in Australia who in 2006, this is how far back it went, 2006 was murdered by two of her friends. And this young lady was killed with wire and then buried, like a speaker wire, and then buried under the house. And the reason why one of you guys messaged me about this particular case was that this person's husband was friends with this young lady long time ago and felt quite connected to them. So she wanted me to check to see whether or not they're crossed over, because when she tuned in with the medium, the soul guide said, no, she's not ready to cross over. She's spending time with her mom. She's not ready to cross yet. Just leave her alone. And when they messaged me that and said, we just thought it was odd that they would say that no, she hasn't crossed over, but she's with her mom and they don't want to do anything about that. And me hearing this, I'm like, okay, no, first of all, if she is an earthbound and she is with her mom, then she is unfortunately taking energy from her mom. This is what happens when you're an earthbound. You can't help it. Even though you may have the best of intentions and just feeling lonely, you want to be around your family. If you haven't crossed over yet, unfortunately, that is one of the cases where you end up taking energy from the living without even being aware that you're doing that. So you drain them of energy. You end up giving them some of your energy. And so you can even pick up ailments from people that have died. Like if somebody died from, let's say, cancer or some kind of autoimmune issue, the next thing you know, if they're attached to you, you start having these issues. So earthbounds cannot stick around. They have to cross over. The best way to do so is to cross them over with love, to open the door, to call forward their family and have their family kind of coax them over with love. So when they said, no, she's not ready to cross over, she doesn't want to cross over, we're not going to cross her over. And even how old the case was, right? So I looked into this yesterday. I should say we looked into this yesterday. And this young lady was not with her family. She was still buried under the house. Her body had been removed, but her consciousness was still under the house, which was crazy. I couldn't imagine. 2006. And she's been there the whole time. And when we found her, she was literally just like laying like this, like sitting in a fetal position like this under the house. And I must say, like, I was quite shocked that she was, one, still there, that two, she was still in that position. Like, she didn't even know what was happening. She had no idea, no clue. And the fact that she was still there and in that position was quite upsetting, I must say. Um, so we called forth her family and we helped her to cross over. So this one was a particularly dark case, Karen. So no, I did not do this as a public one. This was a private one. For the particularly dark ones, I tend to keep those private for now, just because I don't want to involve anybody else that could be potentially affected by the really dark shit that was attached to her. So I asked a couple questions about the situation. I asked why she was still there. Her guides were not around. Nobody was around. She was by herself. I asked how long she would be there if nobody had come to her aid. Pretty much, probably indefinitely. There was no message from her because she was so traumatized, so beside herself with fear that she didn't even want to say anything. We were able to cross her over. But one of the most upsetting things about this, first of all, the young ladies that took her life, they didn't remember doing it. They had no recollection of this actually occurring. They had no recollection of just getting rid of her either. So as soon as I heard that, I immediately assumed entity attachment. So I went and asked, and sure enough, both of the girls that did that had entity attachments and were not sovereign. They didn't even know that they had done it. So those two young ladies are now in prison for the rest of their lives. And they don't even have any recollection of what they did. So if you think about it, those two perpetrators are victims themselves, which is even crazier. So to top it off, I asked the guides, I said, was this part of her soul plan? Like, was this part of what, you know what I mean? Like, that she designed for her exit strategy for life? It was not. The guides told me it was not her plan, that her plan was changed by these two girls getting an entity attachment. So honestly, I am so motivated to help people in these situations. To the fact that she was still under the house, 2006, you guys, and she was still under the house. So I'm not trying to be negative, but this really has been weighing on me since yesterday, because spirit releasement work is so important, but there's so many different elements to the work that are important. Every single one of the little things that we go through, there's a list, a protocol of about 30 things that we go through to check and clear, to make sure that there are things out of the way, you know, and to make sure that they actually have a clean slate. Just one of those things could be a vocation. Just one. Just checking for earthbounds, you could design your entire career after. There are so many earthbounds. It's unbelievable. And so many of them have tragedies and trauma and all kinds of stuff that they don't even know where to begin dealing with themselves. And if you think about it, how many people, because we did a clearing on a bay, for example, right? And we cleared 1,700 souls from the bay. And it's a long story, but many of those souls were spread over 1,000 years. Some of them were indigenous peoples. Some were killed in a battle. Some were killed as slaves. I mean, and they were all still out there over 1,000 years. So if you think about how many traumatized spirits are out there right now, stuck somewhere without their guides, they're completely fucking alone. And I don't know why none of this, I mean, we get such a love and lighty, fluffy bunny perception of spirituality and death and higher consciousness. And I'm finding out that there's a lot of fine print. There's a lot of gray areas. And there's a lot of bullshit that we're doing, that we're going through, that we shouldn't even be going through. That girl did not choose to die that way. So what the hell? It blows my mind. And in fact, it quite upsets me that that young lady had to go through that. That there was no protection. There's no, okay, she didn't choose to die this way, so let's intervene and get, somebody in the way so this doesn't happen. That didn't happen. And Kath said, would those entities lie in wait for their next unsuspecting victims? Yeah, 100%. Yep. We didn't do a clearing on the two young girls that did the murder. We didn't check them at all. We just checked the soul that was affected. So Michelle says, I hope she went to the resting place. I'm sure that's the first place she went. And she's probably going to be there for quite some time. So, there is a process of crossing over, especially if you've died traumatically. If you guys weren't around on Monday, it was really emotional for me, right? Because one of my friends who committed suicide, my friend Dave from London, he took his own life due to severe pain and trauma. And so when we checked him, he was in like this limbo. So we asked about having him cross over, and sure enough, he was able to cross over after a 90-day waiting period and then a 180-day waiting period. So this was part of the healing process. It's like these raising the vibration. So these things occur. Like, this is what you have to do. You have to go through certain layers. It's not like you just instantaneously cross over. So part of those layers is the healing place, the resting place where they have to go. Yes. Did they say where her guides were and why they left her? As soon as you're dead, your guides are gone. This is normal. As soon as you're dead, your guides are like, all right, I got to go help the living. Peace. I have not found any guides connected to people when they're dead. Earthbounds are alone in most cases. I say most because obviously nothing is ever cut and dry. But whenever we find people, especially people that have been dead for a long time, especially if they died traumatically, we find them in the weirdest places. And no, they do not have their guides with them. So it makes me wonder, like, what the hell? Where are the guides? Why are they not sticking around? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because they're no longer living. They no longer have an energy to connect to. Maybe part of the vessel. I mean, obviously, protecting the vessel is a very important thing. But as soon as the vessel is gone, what about the spirit? So Amanda says, I didn't realize that. I thought they would guide us where we need to go after. They do if you are dying in a happy position. If you're happy, right? Let's say you're dying on your deathbed. You've had 100 years on this earth and everything is, you're happy to go, right? You're looking forward to seeing your deceased husband and your parents. And so when you die on that deathbed, you're prepared for it, right? And your guides are with you at that point because you're dying. Your guides are going to be with you the most when you're dying. But when you get to that point, right, and you're ready to cross over, they're there. They're like, all right, okay, let's go, But when you die traumatically, when you wander around as an earthbound, they don't follow you around for years just waiting for you to pay attention and to realize you're dead. Because you can spend years walking around without even realizing you're deceased. So Erica says, see, I hate to question, but where is source in all of this? And why isn't there a higher power? Good question. Source is everything. So if you think about it, source is also the purgatory zone, the area that we go to when we are kind of lost souls. So in a way, source is everything. So it does make you wonder why these things are not being addressed. And I would love to know. I really would. This is something I intend to research more anyway. But as many people have said, and even the Tagetans have said, part of the reason why they don't cross over is they're in denial. They don't want to accept that they're dead. They don't even believe that they're dead. So if they truly believe that they are still alive somewhere, that they're out and about doing things, they distract themselves by doing whatever they were doing when they were still alive. You're still probably going to work. As a deceased earthbound person, that is in most cases what you're doing, is you're still going through the motions. You're still trying to go to work and pay bills and make food for yourself and do all the things that you did when you were alive, not realizing that there's no point because you're dead. The shift, when you shift from your astral body, from your physical body, your perception shifts, right? Every night when you sleep, every time you die, This is what happens. Your perception will switch from your physical body to your astral body. And it's very difficult to tell the difference. So free will is a part of it, Matt. Yes, free will is a huge part of it. In fact, if you are an earthbound that doesn't want to cross over, in most cases, they will not force you to cross over. They may force you to leave a house if you're haunting the house and refusing to cross over at that point. But I'm pretty sure in most cases, they do not actually force you to cross over to the light. You have the right to stick around in limbo as much as you want. Are earthbounds in such a negative mindset that they shut their soul guides out? I don't think they've ever even seen their guides. I think the ones that are in denial are so focused on 3D, that's all they can see. Daniel Jackson said you can also walk around alive and be dead inside. You'd be surprised how accurate that is, Daniel, because we've actually found people who are like this too, like living zombie type people where their chakras are dormant, they're just turned off, where the soul has literally left and come back again and the body was in like this stasis point. That is actually a thing where the body will run on autopilot until the soul comes back. So even walk-ins, for the record, technically, the soul can technically leave and the body will still stay alive even without. It's like an NPC. And then when you're ready to go back in, that's when the chakras come back online. That is when new guides need to be reissued. Like, seriously, like that is actually a thing. If the soul leaves and the body becomes an NPC and continues going on, I mean, they'll continue the motions and feeding themselves and sleeping and defecating and all the things that a physical body will continue to do. So there's a lot of things that will occur even without a soul being in the physical body. You'd be surprised. But this is also part of it, because if the soul wants to come back, then that is an option for them. That is one of the reasons why they got on autopilot. But when that happens, I mean, it's almost like nobody's home. You know what I mean? Like, it's like trauma to the extreme. Have you ever seen somebody that almost looks like they've been so traumatized they don't even know where they are? It's kind of like that, where they're so disassociated from reality that they aren't really even in the body. They're out traveling, so to speak. So there's a lot of people that actually may go through that. You'd be surprised how common it actually is, where people are so traumatized they go on autopilot and completely disassociate, check out. And that can go on for years. Do nursing homes have a lot of earthbounds? Yes, tons of them. Lots and lots of them. In fact, a lot of people that they just don't know they're deceased. They don't know they've died. And if they don't know they've died, then they don't cross over. So they just wander the hallways in their bathrobes and their medical blankets and stuff like, what do you call it? Their, almost called it a dressing gown. Their paper dress, you know? So anyway, I have a lot of questions for Source when I get over there. Yeah, tell me about it, Connie. Dementia is so awful. My sister has come home on hospice with dementia. See, that's another thing a lot of people do to check out, is also with the dementia. Yep. They'd rather be in the past, so to speak. So in their mindset, they are. Good morning, Debbie. Nice to see you. Chantal says, I did a series of shamanic healings with a trusted friend after a big trauma. During one, my soul did not want to return. She didn't want to tell me, but I forced it out of her, and we had to work really hard. This is another reason why a lot of people end up just not caring. They just check out. They're like, I give up. Do you have any advice for what you call sleep drunk? I think that's what you've called it. I often wake up having dreams so vividly, and then I wake up spacey and drunk. So, you know what's funny is, for a long time, I thought that I was the weakest person when it came to alcohol, because I would have just two sips of a beer or some kind of, I don't know, mixed drink. And the next thing you know, I feel drunk. And I was like, how is that even possible? Because my body didn't even have enough time to process the alcohol. Like, it would be 10 minutes later. So I found out that is all from grounding. That is, I should say, lack of grounding. So you're not drunk. What you're feeling is lack of grounding. And I wasn't drunk. What I was feeling was I instantly unground myself with alcohol. Alcohol takes me out of body like that. so quickly. So if you're out of body, you're not linked to your body, you're not in your body, grounded. That is what makes you feel drunk. So why are you guys saying something is with me? I had no goosebumps. What are you guys picking up? I will light the sage to humor you, but I'm not feeling any bad juju right now. Did you guys hear an interference? What? I swear to God, if my mic starts glowing again, I'm not playing around with guys today. It's probably my damn subject matter, talking about earthbounds and how those freaking entities had pulled that shit. You guys heard something though, for real? What did you guys hear? I'm not in the mood today. It came through our end. I felt something through. Adriana, are you still around? Can you just double check that? Thank you. Thank you, darling. Appreciate you. Chantal says, I didn't hear a thing. Some of you heard it and some of you didn't. To me, it sounded like someone clearing their throat. See, now you just never know with this podcast what random spirits are going to come through. Thank you for letting me know, though, but because I didn't hear a damn thing. I heard a bang. Seriously? You guys are hearing all kinds of weird shit today. That's weird. Okay. You know, it is weird, though. The other day, I was listening to music in the house, and I heard a voice. And my music was not very loud. I heard it. And I was like, that is really weird. And I said something to Aiden. I was like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. I was like, I heard it clear as day. There was a voice in my house. So maybe the mediumship is kicking in faster than I expected. Luke says, Adriana is an amazing psychic. I agree completely, Luke. She's one of my best. I thought you hiccuped. Nope. Nope, didn't do any of that. Smudging all the jujus. Because me talking about creepy earthbounds, I probably opened a portal and brought him in. It was a bang, but it's all good now. Okay, thank you. That was really weird. Well, as long as things don't go all glowy this time, then we're fine. Although, like I said, normally they're just trying to distract me and change my subject. Okay, well, have anyone ever heard seeing amber eyes in the dark? Amber eyes in the dark. Maybe it was an Irma. I don't know. Amber eyes, that's a question. I've seen red eyes in the dark. That was spooky as hell. I actually told that story last week. But no, I've not seen the amber ones. How would you recommend building your third eye visualization? Well, tuning forks are really good, by the way. If you use tuning forks tuned to the third eye and then place them over there and then ding, you'd be surprised how much you can feel your third eye opening more when you do that. But for visualizations, indigo colors are a good thing to visualize. You can literally just meditate on indigo colors. You can use essential oils that are tuned to the third eye. In fact, there's a couple of them. Third eye essential oils. Let's see. They were... What was that one that my friend suggested? Rosemary, that's what it was. Juniper berries, marjoram, peppermint, rosemary, sandalwood, vetiver. Those are all good. Frankincense can also help to open the third eye. So does scents like lavender, sandalwood, rosemary. Interesting. But just visualizing it opening is really good too. Just visualizing the eye opening. Just reading through the comments. Had my session with Adriana yesterday. Highly recommend one. She is so nice and accurate. Yeah, she is. Let's see. Tracy says, is it Laura or is it those who haven't also protected themselves in their space? Remember the subject matter discussed opens portals. Everything opens portals. Just going like this can open a portal. Portals are so common, you guys are unbelievable. We find them everywhere. We find them in vehicles. We find them in routers. We find them in electronics. They're almost always in phones and stuff. Because if you look about it, that's a black mirror, right? In your TVs, portals are all over the place. So yeah, portals are very, very common. In fact, they're everywhere. They're in everybody's house. I've done a recheck on somebody, and then 24 hours, there are more portals in their house. So the reason why is because, yeah, it can be the subject, but in most cases, it's literally just movement and intention and flow of energy. That's all it takes. So another reason why every day you set intention, do the 5-pointed star, close the portals in your house, especially if you've opened them while you were astral traveling or something. So almost every time we sleep, we open portals because a lot of you guys are travelers. You just don't know it. So that's not to say that, we have to be mindful of what we discuss so we don't open portals. We just have to be mindful about everything with portals. Because literally just go, up, portals open, close it. So is it good to hum for as long as you can? Take a deep breath and repeat. Yeah. See, humming is also good. Do you feel like you get blocked? Do you think you get blocked till you can't see, like aphantasia? Well, it depends on whether or not you have blockages as well. Sometimes people have blockages in their third eye that makes it extremely difficult to visualize. To the point where you'd be surprised how accurately you could actually, like, see these things, to the point of I'm just reading so many comments here. But you'd be surprised how many portals we find just in third eyes. I found one literally yesterday. Somebody's third eye had a portal in it. And that is opened usually through entities or some kind of visualization. Like when you're doing astral projection, you're practicing astral projection. That is another reason why. There's a lot. You guys travel a lot. Almost every person I do clearings on in this community, they're like, nope, out-of-body experience corrected. There's a lot of out-of-body experiences going on in this community. And then most of you probably aren't even aware of it. Dr. Scott says, turn off your Wi-Fi and routers at night. You can even place sacred geometry symbols or grounding mats under them to keep them connected to Gaia and to drain negative energy. Yes, when you're not using your routers at night, you should be turning them off. Definitely. If you live near a 5G tower, I hate to say it, but there's going to be portals everywhere. That's what they do. They open portals. Those 5G towers, that is the most common issue we have with them, is they open portals everywhere. There was one person that had one, like, I think, like 100 yards down the road from them, and there were 16 portals on their property. That is kind of what 5G is. I feel like it's part of what it's designed to do, with intention. Happy New Year, Aaron. Nice to see you, darling. Lynn says, I think I'm a traveler, and that's why I feel drunk when I wake up. So if you're feeling like you're drunk when you're waking up, you're not grounded in your body. You're still half traveling, so to speak. So one of the important things you can do is your grounding meditation, to visualize the roots going back into the earth, or you can visualize your body coming down into your astral body, coming down into your physical body and locking. So when that happens, remember, it's kind of like being out of phase with yourself. Like your astral body and your physical body are like this, right? You want them to be like this. They want to be anchored into each other. Because if you're not anchored into your body, yeah, you don't have as much issues with pain and things like that, because, I mean, the more rooted you're in your body, the more you can feel your body, right? This is another reason why people with a lot of pain like to drink alcohol, because it takes them out of body. So they're less grounded in the pain. But the thing is, when you do that, you're not really connected to your intuition as well. There's a lot of things that are connected to your physical vessel. And if you're not connected deeply to your physical vessel, then you're going to end up having misconnections and misfiring, so to speak. Aaron says, I found a portal in someone's back yesterday. Yep. Found a portal in somebody's womb last week. Yep. But if you think about it, your portal is technically, wombs are portals. Technically, if you think about it, considering how many souls come through them. So your womb is the portal in a way. So yeah, there's a lot of portals. I found a portal in somebody's ear yesterday, of all places. So yeah, they can be anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. And they look like little mini tornadoes, just for the record. For those of you trying to visualize what it looks like, this is what it looks like. It looks like a little mini tornado. I used to travel a lot, remembered it all, even the lucid dreams too, but now I can't remember anything when I sleep. My third eye is way open as I constantly receive messages, but I don't remember anything during the night anymore. So, Carol, one of the main reasons, and I teach this in my astral projection class, is that you're not setting intention to remember. If you have a dream journal or something that may help, the more you set intention to remember, the more it's almost like your mind takes notes. Another reason is because a lot of us end up going to higher realms. So we end up going to places like 5D, 6D, and above. Especially for those of you who are very powerful star seeds. Some of you, your soul, keep in mind, you're not actually technically in your body. Your energy is anchored in the body, but you're not in the body. You're like a drone pilot. So wherever your consciousness is coming from, you're sending a signal to your physical body, and your brain is the receiver of said signal, right? So anything that gets in the way of that will block you from being able to ground yourself. And it also blocks your connection to spirit that way because it's not linked to the third eye as easily. So yeah, this is why if you set intention to remember, it helps. But also just keep in mind that if you're not remembering, it's just that, like, if you're not in your body, it's not being downloaded to the receiver in a way, because your signal is being rooted in your astral body, not your physical body. So in order for it to be retained, in order for these memories to be downloaded, it does help to be grounded in a way. So grounding before bed will help. Setting intention before bed to remember. Dream journals are a really important thing. Just having a dream journal next to the bed, your subconscious mind is going to go, she's trying to retain this. She's trying to retain this. Save this. Save this. So it's like you're, setting intention, which is really important. Intention is everything that we do. Try setting that intention when you climb into bed. Ask that you remember. Exactly. Yep. I stand in the snow when I need to ground. You can putter around in your plants, in your house plants. You can walk around barefoot on concrete, even outside, even though I recommend dirt and grass is obviously better. Grounding sheets. Yes, grounding sheets can help. Just make sure that you're not getting a cheap one, because the cheap ones, they don't work very well. Rachel says, I get attacked and need tips on how to call everything back to the physical. So it's all visualization. Your mind is extremely powerful, Rachel. And then whatever you visualize, you manifest in the astral. So if there are things that are messing with you in the astral, you can visualize protection for yourself. You can visualize a bodyguard. You can visualize armor. You can visualize a weapon. You can visualize anything. Just make sure that if something is harassing you, that you set boundaries and you don't take any shit. You don't have to take any shit in the astral. They just make you think you do. Carol says, that makes perfect sense. I will ground and set intentions and will also buy a dream journal. You're so welcome, Carol. Happy to help. Chantal says, I can't dream journal because there's no words for my dreams. I do remember, though, even years later, dreams come back into mind. I still remember dreams I had when I was a kid. And there were weird dreams, too, like being chased by wolves and random shit, like so random. I make myself look in a mirror so no one can see me. That's interesting. Clever trick. Katie's golden roots visualization helped me a lot. Yes, that's also my favorite. I visualize golden roots growing out of my, everywhere. All of the places, all of the chakras, you visualize golden roots growing out of them and then growing deep into the earth and wrapping around the core of the earth. And those golden roots, they will help you to ground yourself to Mother Gaia's energy. So it is a very helpful thing to do when you do that visualization. Autumn says, I go to the same place and dream every night now for years, trying to remember the people and animals I'm taking care of, and they feel like family. You probably are visiting family, without a doubt. Especially if it's a reoccurring dream like that. Reoccurring dreams, that's more than a message. It's like a visit. And a lot of us starseeds, we go home. This is probably another reason why some of you may not remember traveling is you want to go home. So you get to visit home when you astral travel. So if you think about it, you do get to visualize, a little bit of your home planet in other places sometimes when you're sleeping. So if you ever see anything strange, it may actually be something you already saw in real life, a different timeline. Jules says, I used to dream about being surrounded by sharks. Dreams are so random. Like sometimes you just never know whether it's a message or whether or not your brain is just randomly doing shit on autopilot, because it does both. It does a lot of messages and then it also does a lot of random stuff on autopilot. Even things like if you ever see like a sleepwalker, right? If you ever watch people that are sleepwalking, that is what most people do while they're dreaming. Just for the record, sleepwalkers just don't have that body paralysis state where if you guys notice when you're falling asleep and if you're practicing astral projection, your body will actually start to go numb, right? It starts to tingle, it starts to go to sleep. You feel like you're almost in this paralysis stage. And that is a stage that you want to be in if you're going to be obviously astral traveling. This is a normal thing for your body to be doing, because otherwise every night when you'd sleep, you'd be crawling the walls and knocking shit over while you're trying to sleep. So that body paralysis stage is actually a good thing. This is what keeps you in your bed while you're sleeping. But people that have sleep disturbances, people that are sleepwalkers, for example, they don't have that. So whatever they're doing when they're wandering around their house at night, that is what they would normally be doing when they're sleeping. So this is another reason why like people end up almost traumatized when you wake them up that way, because they aren't not conscious. They're completely out. Their subconscious is controlling the experience. So this is why most people don't remember their dreams. Their subconscious controls it. When you are controlling it, that is when you remember it. So for those of you that have flying dreams, dreams of visiting loved ones, dreams of going back to places you've already been, those are not dreams. You're actually traveling to those places and visiting with those people, or at least checking in with other timelines and other versions of yourself. So let's say you go and see an old high school football game that you went to 20 years ago. You can still actually be at that football game. You are jumping timelines, jumping into another reality where that is where you occurred, where you went through. There's also other timelines where you can go and visit too. So if things are different to what you imagine, it could be that you changed something in that timeline, or that you're visiting another timeline where things were changed. This is why they want us humans to be so controlled, because our minds are more powerful than we are ever giving them credit for. Tracy says, oh, Lord, walked out of the house while sleepwalking. Yeah, see? Michelle says, I talk in my sleep. I only talk in my sleep when there's entities around. I have literally woken up to me yelling, fuck off, get out of my room. Get the hell out of here. I literally woke up to me yelling that. That's when I realized I had a little beastie coming in to visit me in the night. So yeah, if you wake up sleeping, or sorry, if you wake up talking or hear yourself talking, then you're probably actually having a conversation with someone. Luke says, always go back to the same dreams with the same houses and the same neighborhoods. Yep, that's probably why. It's what you like. It's your comfy place, your happy place. Or it's a place that has a very profound meaning for you for some reason. I have repeating nightmares, nurturing like a little misformed, just like new baby. I went to go look for food and came back and was killed. Wow, Christelle. After repeating the same dream, I noted a birth and like pinging wings without feathers. Oh, you were a blue avian, Christelle. I love the blue avians. They're awesome. I would love to have Rachel come back and channel one of the blue avians sometime. I'll message her and see if we can get her on the podcast. Yeah, the blue avians are awesome. I love them. Michelle, oh my God, I have woken up yelling. Well, there you go. You're probably yelling at somebody, setting some boundaries in the astral. Amma says, get this, my ex was a vegan and a sleepwalker. And when he sleepwalks, he used to go to the fridge and eat non-vegan food. See, also keep in mind that maybe there's also it could totally be an Earthbound or somebody else that is attached that gets to take over when when one person goes to sleep, the other comes out, so to speak. This is one of the reasons why people are completely different on alcohol. Alcohol lets everybody channel. You're channeling all kinds of stuff when you're on alcohol. You can channel entities, you can channel Earthbounds. You can even channel other versions of your alter ego. So, yeah, you'd be surprised how much other subconscious aspects can come out when the conscious mind is not awake or when the conscious mind is distracted. When we have visitations from loved ones in spirit, for me and my dad and many others, I've talked about this topic, say the spirit never speaks. Any thoughts on that? My brother seems to communicate with me telepathically. He never ever says a word. Weird. This is the thing. All of us are telepathic, right? All of us. Every single one of us are telepathic. We're just not aware that we're telepathic. And most beings across the entire cosmos are telepathic. The Tagetans, for example, the Pleiadians that I'm always talking about, they are telepathic beings. In order to have a conversation with them, in most cases, yeah, you could speak like this. They do obviously still have vocal cords, but they actually prefer to speak with thought because they can express a lot more information that way. And another reason I think that Earthbounds do this is that it's sometimes things can be in the way, almost like there's walls that get put up. I don't know whether or not it's the Earthbounds that are putting up the walls or if it's the living that are putting up the walls or what. But I believe that this is just, it's all rooted in telepathy. It's almost like they don't need to speak. They can speak with more than just words. So they would prefer to do that. And keep in mind that, like I said, everybody is telepathic. Everybody, and that includes the discarnates. Everybody is telepathic. So you send a lot of thought through just a look without even being aware that you're doing it. You ever just get a look from somebody and you just know exactly what they're thinking? Mm-hmm. In fact, I had one of my best friends. We would literally just exchange glances and I could read her mind. I knew exactly what she was saying. One of the people I traveled with, I knew after spending 6 months traveling with this person and getting to know them every single day, just one look and we knew exactly what each other were thinking. So, when you are very close to somebody, especially a soul family like that, you don't need words. In fact, words kind of get in the way sometimes. It's almost like text messages and how a text message leaves a lot of context out. Sometimes words can leave a lot of context out in a similar way. So sometimes exchanging emotion or exchanging some kind of memory or even an image in your head is a lot more accurate than certain words could be. Sometimes I speak light language when I sleep. That's cool, Amanda. Very cool. You're probably speaking one of your starseed languages when you're doing that, or one of the higher realms. There's a lot of you are light beings too. Some of you came down here as light beings too, and the light beings that are here to do important work during the shift, they're also going to channel a lot of information through just downloads. So those of you that end up seeing things in your head, having weird like symbols and things popping up, that is a form of language. My ex used to sleepwalk when he was drunk. Yeah, I'm not surprised, Karen. That's the most common time to sleepwalk because technically, you're allowing other things to come forward and use your vessel. Dr. Scott says, I woke up doing a double leg takedown. I remember feeling fed up at whatever was trying to take me down. Interesting. I had a friend in the family that had a dream where he was like basically like this wizard and he was standing in a big circle and they were trying to hold something I think they were trying to hold something for a reason. And they all started like chanting and saying all these things. And he started chanting in his sleep, like chanting another language in his sleep. And this person, is not really like into the whole spiritual thing. So in order to have an explanation, they came to me going, what is this? So we went and asked the guides what it was. And the guide said that they were actually channeling another lifetime, another version of themselves. So that whole big circle where they were standing around and chanting, that was a real thing that had occurred in another lifetime. So you guys might be surprised. Like you might be channeling other versions of yourselves while you're sleeping too. Um, Jazz says, "Hi Laura, sharing this vivid dream I had before early 2024. I woke up from a very long vivid dream, nighttime, people all around the world looking at the evening sky, waiting, and like 3/4 of the view in the dream showed the blue sky with odd looking stars. The constellations are moving in different patterns, one turning around, some like disappearing, and others just randomly moving and letting the whole world know the sky is not what it seems. And people see them like a break is about to, and then it cut off. Jazz, sorry. I wish I could finish the rest of it. I'll have to read the rest of that when I finish the podcast. Interesting. See, a lot of these are probably experiences you guys have already had, like maybe even on other worlds. And it could also be a future lifetime too, for the record, you might be tuning into. Megan says, "My kitty who passed always comes to me in dreams. I get to hold her and snuggle her. It's amazing. My grandparents also visit. In the beginning of my awakening, my very Catholic grandmother visited me and whispered in my ear, 'There's a place for you here.'" Aw, that's beautiful. It's lovely when they visit. And it just gives you more confidence that you'll see them again, because you do. You see them all the time. You just aren't aware of it. Just reading through the comments. Melanie says, "I get the same nightmares. I'm in a field with a small outbuildings with a Rasta witch. There are dead bodies floating." Wow. "And I have to hold the hand of a boy with no eyes to get home. I always wake up." Interesting. You guys, we could actually do some kind of like astral projection, right? If you have a lot of experiences with astral projection and you're having really strange experiences and nightmares and things like this, we could actually ask your guides about this. This is one of the questions, because we do mediumship readings. We do all kinds of things. In fact, Adriana is getting ready to offer a meet your guides kind of situation, if you guys are interested in that as well. So if you guys are interested in getting to know your soul guides, Adriana can also facilitate that for you. And this can be one of the questions you ask about your dreams and why you experience them. Because a lot of them are messages, there's a reason you're remembering it. Jules says, "When I was younger, at one point, every time I talked about what I said wouldn't come out in words. It became so bad at some point I stopped talking because I didn't know what was wrong with me. It happened on and off for years. I've had a stutter since I was probably about 6 years old, and it's weird. Like things come out backwards in my head, or sometimes I will say something. I'll be trying to say 5 or 10 things all at once, and they'll come out weird, right? This is part of the problem with being a telepathic being. If you're a telepathic being normally, right? Let's say you're a very powerful soul in your own right. And so that means that after a long time, you have developed a very strong level of telepathy. But the problem is trying to use your mouth while you're thinking 10 different things in your head, trying to express all of that at once. It comes out all morphed and weird together. So, yeah. In fact, I'll say things like, "Did that guy have dreads or dreadlocks?" And they'll be like, "Huh?" I'll be like, "I meant braids or dreadlocks. I mean, dreadlocks." And they'll be like, "Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Like your brain just starts mashing things up for no reason." So I think that telepathy is part of the problem for that, is because we're trying to say more and it's like our mouth can't keep up. God, could you imagine how much my brain is moving if my mouth can't keep up? Margaret says, "You have to hear my autistic daughter sing. She's nonverbal, but she has her own language. She does her chants sometimes, and they're very relaxing. I picked up a few words." That's probably light language. There's a lot of people that speak light language. They just don't know it, and they just call it something like gibberish. They don't realize what they're actually saying. And also keep in mind that English is a terrible language for all of these things. Like we're trying to use a very limited language to express a lot of things. Like there's just no words for them. This is one of the reasons why, funnily enough, they Billy Meyer, somebody asked, well, why you, Billy? You know, why are the Pleiadians so interested in you? And they said, well, they just wanted somebody that speaks German. And they were like, huh? Why? And Billy said, well, because German's the easiest language for them to use here on Earth because it's such a descriptive language. And they have more words for things because it's such a descriptive language. So it's funny how, you know, certain languages here on Earth are actually kind of avoided because they're not very easy for the ETs to communicate through. Most of them are communicating through thought anyway. So when they, like, for example, when Adriana, just because we're talking about you anyway today, when Zach comes through Adriana, he's not speaking English. The Salacians didn't learn English in order for them to communicate through channeling. They communicate through telepathy. They communicate through thought. So this is another reason why, you know, there's going to be a lot of, you know, you could have one soul guide, right? Like, let's just say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a random person. Bashar, right? Bashar does not have to come only through Daryl Anka. There are other people that could channel Bashar as long as they're at that certain frequency, right? But let's just say the person who wanted to channel Bashar, their native language wasn't English. Let's say their native language was German or something, right? They could easily speak for Bashar. But when Bashar comes out, he's not going to be speaking English because the person that he's being channeled through the second time speaks German. So he'll be speaking German, right? But technically, he's not. The vessel is speaking German. So anyway, there's been all kinds of, you know, misconceptions about telepathy and how it works. But in most cases, the galactics that are in communication with us, they're using their form of telepathy, which is imagery. So they root around in our head for the meaning of things that they can understand. So in most cases, they're actually sending thoughts via images to your head. So you see the image, and then the person that is obviously in the vessel, they interpret that image through their perception, and then they translate that into their language. So this is why, even though two people may be channeling the exact same person, they may be saying things differently because it's going through the filter of the medium, if that makes sense. So I hope I'm explaining that well. So no, you don't need to be like perfectly encoded. Like there's a lot of people, for example, like channeling Chen. I've seen at least 4 people channel Chen. You know, there may be one person that says that that's not possible to happen, but it is, and I've seen it happen. So this is why, you know, a lot of us need to understand that channeling is a very open thing, and channeling can happen through all kinds of different aspects. And so mediumship is a very broad spectrum for that reason. And there's channeled information that comes through in all kinds of different ways. This is why you get mediums who were, you know, able to perceive things through touch. They're able to get downloads of information through telepathy with touch. What is this about Loy? I'm just seeing the comments now. Loy just messaged me back and says she's okay if anyone else is wondering, because of the terrible event that happened on Bourbon Street. Yes, Loy is in. I didn't know there was an event on Bourbon Street. I'm sorry to hear that. There was a mass shooting in New Orleans. Oh, man. So, you see, this is what I mean. We must be doing really well for them to be so desperate right now and trying to lower the vibration through all the really weird shit they're doing right now. The cabal is desperate. You can tell. Oh, Crystal, you're from Belgium. That's lovely. I love Belgium. Been there a few times. I spent all morning checking on my Billy Strings fans, and they were there for New Year's. Aaron says that was super informative. I'm going to have some people listen to it so they understand what I've been trying to put into my own words. Thank you, Laura. You're very welcome, Aaron. That was after a truck drove through and massacred a bunch of people. Oh, man. See, this is why we got to keep the vibes high, you guys. It's going to be very difficult. The more they do things like this to keep the vibe high, but it's very important. Keep in mind, this is why they do these things. This is why we were talking about this, you know, on the Monday chat about some of the horrible things that have been happening. And you'll probably see some of that in the news, like what happened at Penn Station. These things are happening for a reason, because they scare the shit out of people, because it lowers the vibration, because they are trying to spread fear and misery and all kinds of low vibe energy right now. So send love, send healing, and try not to let these things get you down. I know it's hard. I've spent so many years focusing on the awful things that are happening in this world, only to spend years just in fear, in that fight or flight mode. And that is why they want to keep doing this. So keep the vibe high, send lots of love, send lots of healing, support people in any way that you possibly can, but don't let this stuff get you down. Don't let this lower your vibration, because unfortunately, when it does, they get what they want. So they're going to be more and more desperate. Things like this are going to be more and more common. And in most cases, it's the government. We all know it is. We all know that they're putting Manchurian candidates out there and brainwashed people and NPCs with entity attachments and all kinds of horrible things that are going on in the world. So as Kath just perfectly put it, observe but do not absorb. And it's 11/11. Love that. Perfect message for 11/11. So things are going to get crazier, you guys. They are. They are going to get weirder. Things are going to get definitely crazier. But just keep in mind, everything is happening for a reason. And even though there's a lot of tragedies and things to be concerned about right now, there's a lot of things that we have to celebrate. A lot of things that are turning in a new direction. We've pivoted a lot as a species, I guess you could say, just in the last decade. And things are getting crazier by the day. Yeah, but they're also getting, if you think about it, more in our favor every day. This is one of the reasons why the cabal is so desperate. It's almost like every time we get a leg up, they have to drop something, you know? So also keep in mind that right now the energies are crazy. In fact, I'm going to check right now the solar flares. Yeah, see, there's a magnetic storms right now like crazy. So the Schumann is starting to settle down a little bit. Schumann's been going crazy for days. Excuse me. But then if you go and look at the magnetic storms app, look at the geomag right now. Geomag is going crazy. Where is it? So we getting solar flares, lots of big flares we've been getting, and look at all that geomag. So keep an eye out for auroras tonight. In fact, there's an app called Aurora. And if you guys go on the Aurora app, which is pretty cool, you can see the potential. They've got a KP index of 5 right now, which is actually quite high. So there's going to be a lot of locations that have, wow. Even right now? Seriously? Holy shit, you guys. Look at that. Look at that. That is crazy. Hang on. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you see how it shows my location, right? There's my little blip down there by Washington. So if you see, that is going on right now. Like even now in the middle of the day, that is happening right now. So that is big, you guys. That is a huge, huge spike in the geomag. In fact, I bet if you were to Google it right now, there's probably articles talking about it. So you might notice that you get headaches today. You might be more tired than normal. Let me just see if there's any. Yeah, see, geomagnetic storm kicking off right now. There's all kinds of articles about it. See, tons of articles right now if you guys were to Google it. And you may even be able to see some of it tonight. That'll be interesting. So Luke said, a medium in a reading told me that it was an angel that follows my lineage, but it's puckerish and not always good. What are your thoughts on that? Well, keep in mind that angels, angelic beings, are souls that no longer need physical bodies, right? They've already been all the different humanoid races or whatever races you expect, because there's a lot of them could even be cetacean, you know. You evolve to a certain point where you no longer need a physical body. And, angels in most cases have never actually been human, like this type of human. We are so young. We've only been around for like 15,000 years or so. So out of all the species that exist in the cosmos, because we're not Lyrans, we were originally used, Lyran DNA to create us, but as this race, like we're one of the youngest in the cosmos. So there's a lot of things that we humans are still catching up with. And the whole angelic realm thing is part of that, because obviously, it's like, that's like when you're almost at the point of soul completion, right? Where you've learned all the things you were meant to learn. And so, yeah, you can have a connection to angelics for that reason. There's a lot of us that have friends in high places, so to speak, that we have made across thousands of incarnations all over the cosmos. So you just never know. So whether or not it's part of a lineage or more, it's more like a soul family type thing, Erica says, I love that message. The more I try to stay connected to the highest light and grounded, crazy news like this doesn't surprise me. My higher self lets me know right away it's not real. Yeah, in many cases, they do make up a lot of stuff too. So what you may be seeing on the news may not even be real at all. In fact, there's a lot of stuff that they were reporting on, like back in the whole Ukraine mess, that was a lot of this, according to the Tegetans, was actually happening in the astral. It was happening in 4D and 5D, not in 3D. And yet they're reporting it as if it's happening in 3D. So they're always kind of looking to confuse and manipulate. And yeah, just that's why I say don't watch the news, any of it. Yeah, did you see that? My lights just flickered. See, the lights agree. Don't watch the news. You can see that. No more woo-woo weird shit, though. Enough of that. So yeah, if you're like Kelly, who's been dealing with headaches and fatigue for the last 2 days, make sure that you guys are grounding yourselves. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. And when I say hydrated, I don't just mean drinking water. Make sure you're drinking electrolytes. Put sea salt in the water, Himalayan salt, fruit juice, whatever it is. Put something electrolyte-y in the water. Very important, because you can actually dehydrate yourself by drinking too much water without electrolytes. Crystal says, I am an old soul. A medium said my soul is 32 million years old. See, time doesn't exist. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, I recommend going to Adriana and getting an Akashic Records reading to validate what things from other mediums have said in the past too, because sometimes mediums just say things. They just say, because they get an intuitive download and they think, okay, this is accurate, but sometimes it's just an intuitive thought from the ego. So this is why I say always validate if something doesn't resonate. But with time, like time is, I mean, you know what's funny? You know what Dolores Cannon used to say? Whenever somebody would say I'm an old soul, she's like, old souls are slow learners. So whenever I call myself an old soul, I have a little chuckle to myself about it, because I am. Yes, sometimes I am a slow learner. This is why I got to repeat shit. So you never know. This is one of the reasons why it's best to check your Akashic record and just have someone read your Akashic record. Legit Loy is somebody that you can check for that. Or Adriana. There's a couple people that I brought on the podcast that are phenomenal Akashic Records readers. Karen says, I've been drinking lemon and ginger water. Perfect, Karen. Excellent. Hi, Leanne. Nice to see you, darling. Yes, the sea salt. Sea salt is the best thing you could be adding to your water, just for the record. Just make sure that it's Celtic sea salt or Mediterranean sea salt. You don't want to drink Atlantic sea salt. Yeah. Yeah. Then you get all the Atlantis juju on your salt. No. Dee says, I absolutely agree. Adriana is amazing. And I learned I'm a starseed and learned so much. That is so wonderful, Dee. I'm so happy for you. We'll have to get Adriana to come back on the podcast soon. Now you're going to be on the spot, Adriana. We're going to have to bring you back on here. So any other questions just enjoy hanging out with you guys. That's why I'm just sitting here for like an hour, just chilling. Anything you guys want to talk about before I go? I gotta take my little man for a haircut. Today is the last day before he goes back to school, and he's looking a bit like Shaggy, so he's getting a haircut today. I'm in Virginia Beach, and we had 2 car fires and shootouts and a water pipe burst in your complex. Really? That's a lot going on in just one area. I was at work. I had a break, but for some reason I could not leave work. That's spirit guides. Interesting. Megan says, Lloyd did my first Akashic record reading. It was amazing. Now I can access them myself. That's wonderful, Megan. That is the goal, right? Putting Adriana on the spot. I see you. No pressure, darling. Luke says, what's the furthest you can astral travel? There is no distance, technically. There's no time and there's no distance. So technically, you can astral travel to anywhere in the entire cosmos that you wish to, as long as your vibration is high enough. That is the kicker. If your vibration is not high enough, you're not getting off of this planet. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. It's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can't actually leave. So your vibration has to be very high in order for you to get off world, to get past what we call the Van Allen belt. It's like a high band frequency radiation band around the earth, part of our quarantine that we're stuck with. But you can get around that with a high vibration. So if you meditate and get your vibration high enough, you treat your physical vessel very well. You nourish your physical vessel with nutrients. You cleanse all of the bullshit from the chemicals and all of that stuff. It's a lot easier to astral project with a high vibration. So this is one of the reasons why I'm drinking my beet juice every day, trying to raise my vibration. So is it worth it? I don't know. Time will tell. So thank you, by the way, Jennifer. You're the best. Jennifer is amazing, you guys. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm going to highlight your comment. Drop in with Kim Beekman in Free Star Community today at 12:15 p.m. We're going to be doing some revamping on Astara, going to be bringing in some new things. I'm also going to be using kind of in a way for the new academy that we are creating as part of the forums and the aftercare and all these things. So Astara is getting a new makeover soon, which is one of the reasons why there's not too much going on there right now. So make sure that you go in with Kim Beekman today. Kim will be on my podcast tomorrow. I had hoped to get her in today, but things were kind of crazy and not planned very well in advance. So we'll get Kim Beekman on the podcast tomorrow to discuss this. Kim, by the way, tomorrow's podcast will be at 11. I'm going to be starting an hour later since she's on the West Coast. So, hi, Lara. Does one know who is a good Akashic reader? Because anyone can just say something. Lisa, I agree completely. This is why there's only 3 Akashic Records people that I do promote right now. And Loy and Adriana are the best. And Zipporah. Zipporah is also incredible. She's the other. Zipporah is amazing. But as I said, you know, Adriana has been helping so many people with their Akashic Records readings, and every single person that has come to me has thanked me and said, Adriana's amazing. Thank you so much for recommending her. So sorry I'm tooting your horn so much this morning, Adriana. I just love you so much. And she's amazing. So I'm going to drop her link for those of you who are interested in an Akashic Records reading, because I promote people that I know are legit. And she is by far one of the best. AdrianaGaray.com is the website. For those of you who are interested in booking an Akashic Records reading, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And she also does chats with loved ones who are deceased. She also does Meet Your Soul Guides. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can get into with Adriana. I recommend checking it out. Hopefully I'm not overselling it today, Adriana. She's like, Laura, you're going to get me fully booked for like a month here. Sorry. I don't want you to be too crazy busy. But yeah, she's the best, I'm telling you. So is Loy. Loy is also amazing. In fact, there's a couple of times where I've heard a couple people have done Akashic Records readings before, and it's some of the stuff they said didn't resonate. So when Loy read my Akashic records, I was very skeptical at first. And then I validated everything Loy said later on with my guides. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's why I've been jokingly just calling her like legit Loy. Loy knows her stuff. She's also very good. But so does Sephora. Sephora can also access the Akashic records. Oh, yes. And Aaron Sineva. Aaron also does it. I forgot Aaron also does it. Yep. Aaron is also great. So, yeah, I mean, we're very blessed to have as many people that are trained in reading the records. But as, you know, one of you wonderful people said earlier, you've had a reading and then learned how to do it yourself. So it is wonderful to be able to read these things on your own, to be able to access your own record, because then you can dig in as much as you want. So Luke says, I want to be able to light newspaper on fire with my chi like Dynamo. Dynamo Jack. That's funny. You'd be surprised how much these things can actually occur. You can focus your chi to that point. Absolutely. So, Megan says, and she teaches how to access yourself. Lovely. Perfect. So, lots of different people teaching you how to access your records. So for those of you who are able to read the records, we are so grateful for you. Thank you. Because of the whole memory wipe thing that we experience here on Earth, it helps a lot to be able to find out something about your soul lineage. And it's very much like an Akashic Records reading. For those of you who have never had one, it's very much like a QHHT session without the hypnosis. It's the best way I can put it. I got that analogy from Adriana, by the way, and that's a mwah analogy. It really does fit it. Because technically, when you go for a hypnosis session, you go under, right? Your guides take you to that specific lifetime that is affecting you the most, and they help you to understand why it happened and how to heal those things, right? Well, they give you advice on how to process the trauma or how to reintegrate it. Or sometimes there's past life resonances that end up being reintegrated, because we do end up having a lot of trauma from past lives that we carry around with us, like little backpacks. And so all of these things can be cleared through an Akashic Records reading as well. So you can reintegrate your trauma. You can send healing down timelines. You can have answers to any of your questions that you've been wanting to know. Some of you, for example, have had weird dreams since you were 10 years old, right? And you want to know what the dream means. You can get that answer from an Akashic Records reading. All in the records. So somebody's been tagging Loy so much she's appeared. We were just talking about you and what a phenomenal records reader you are, Loy. Her ears were ringing and now she's appeared. I'm glad to see that you're okay, sweetie. I'm sorry to hear that there's been some really horrible stuff going down in your hometown. Sending you lots of love. Donna says, Lara, because of you and our incredible community, I only trust those here in our group to do work. Thank you, Donna. This is one of the reasons why I hold integrity to be the highest of all in this work. Yep, 100%. So everybody send Loy some big hugs right now. Say, Loy, I'm giving you the biggest astral hug you've ever seen right now. I love you. I hope things get easier for you, especially down there. Things are going to be crazy for a little while, and while things are being worked out and healed. Good morning, Daisy. Nice to see you, love. So yes, the Akashic Records, I forgot, somebody just asked a question. Where are they located? Technically it's in the ether. It's in the astral. So we've been asking a lot of questions about the Akashic Records, but then you also get the Halls of Amenti too we could talk about. We'll talk about the Halls of Amenti on a different podcast though, because it's already been 90 minutes that I've been rambling today. So it's wonderful to spend New Year's Day with you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love hanging out with you guys and just having random chats about whatever you guys want to chat about. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I'm going to have Kim Beekman on the podcast tomorrow. But remember that she'll be on Astara in 45 minutes from now. So for those of you who would like a little pick-me-up today, those of you who feel like you need a little bit of grounding, a little bit of energy, positivity, I highly recommend going on Astara just now and in 45 minutes and joining Kim Beekman for her chat. And then there's going to be more over the weekend. I believe Christopher and Danielle are also doing their Qigong this weekend. I'll double check on that. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to hit me up. Loy says I have Akashic Records readings available if anybody needs any. So you guys can also have a chat with Loy if you would like. Oh yes, and 1 o'clock today we have tea with Siddhartha. I'm gonna have to set an alarm on my phone so I don't get too distracted and don't forget. So at 1 p.m. today, for those of you who have paid for the chat with Siddhartha, the other half today will be at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you guys at tea time. I love you all. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow on the podcast an hour later tomorrow. So you guys want to, Lori gets to sleep in an hour later tomorrow because we're going to be starting an hour later. So tomorrow will be at 11 a.m. Eastern that we're going to start the chat tomorrow. And for those of you who are interested, somebody says, where do you join? astarcommunity.com. If you sign up, you'll be able to see the Kim Beekman chat today. So anyway, love you guys. Have a wonderful first day of the year. How exciting. And I will see you guys either at tea time or tomorrow. Bye, everyone.